Understanding visual communication requires critical thinking. Involved in understanding may be knowledge gleaned from various fields of study, including but not limited to art history, anthropology, psychology, philosophy, religion, history, and iconography. Formal criticism is an in-depth investigation using the form or totality of design to analyze, describe, and interpret a work of art. Critiques may be written or group discussions designed to evaluate and judge the work. No two individuals may come to the same conclusions regarding the meaning or merit of the work, but there are a few guidelines to facilitate understanding art. During a critique, the following questions may be posed. What is the focal point and how does your eye move through the painting? Does color have a psychological effect? Does the use of color or other formal designs promote clear visual communication? How do various principles of design structure the composition? Are icons or religious symbols used? What is the significance of the title of the work, the subject matter, symbols, or icons? Does the work have unity, or in other words, is each individual part essential to the whole? Let's investigate a work of art by participating in a formalist critique of Audrey Flack's Marilyn still life Vanitas from a 1977 8-foot by 8-foot photorealist oil over acrylic painting in the University of Arizona's collection. Audrey Flack was a key member of the photorealist movement of the 1970s. Flack and the photorealists used two new tools to render a hyperrealism which rivaled photography: the airbrush and the slide or overhead projector. Image projection had been possible since the Baroque period with the use of the camera obscura. Flack acknowledged influence of the Baroque period of the Netherlands. Dutch Baroque artists used the still life to portray personal objects to represent Vanitas portraits of the life of an individual, often including tools of trade, culture, science, material wealth, and worldliness. The art term still life refers to a type of painting subject matter using carefully selected inanimate objects to convey a message. Dutch artists of the Baroque period created still life paintings with Vanitas symbolism, reminding the viewer to contemplate on the brevity of life and the futility of dwelling upon material possessions or physical beauty over spiritual purity. Flack signifies by the title Marilyn Still Life Vanitas that the still life objects are representative of the life of Marilyn Monroe and directs us to search for symbols that support the Vanitas theme, the fleeting nature of youth and beauty, and the folly of placing importance on the physical. 3 years before Flack painted Marilyn Still Life Vanitas, the musician Elton John had released Candle in the Wind with Bernie Taupin's lyrics, "Goodbye Norma Jeane, though I never knew you." Flack listened to this song repeatedly as she painted Marilyn Vanitas, and much of the work seems inspired by this song. Flack may be depicting the moment when the self-identity of Norma Jeane is abandoned and the legend of Marilyn Monroe begins. Born Norma Jean Mortensen on June 1, 1926, Marilyn Monroe was an American actress, model, and singer. In 1946, Marilyn signed her first movie contract. With the contract came a new name and image. She assumed a professional name, Marilyn Monroe, and dyed her hair blonde. With her breathy voice and hourglass figure, she would soon become a Hollywood star. Famous for playing blonde bombshell characters, she became one of the most popular sex symbols of the 1950s and early 1960s. Marilyn's death by drug overdose at age 36 on August 4, 1962, sparked conspiracy theories and reiterated her unhappy childhood, a childhood of abandonment and sexual assault that may have stilted her development of a self-confident identity. Flack may have chosen to paint the sepia-toned childhood photos of herself with her brother Milton to juxtapose Flack's strong family support against Marilyn's lack of familial love. Flack chooses a childhood photo of an impressionable young girl at an age when the young search for role models. Flack lived in a healthy environment with the guidance and advice of her 6-year older brother, who helped Flack make the pivotal decision in youth to study art. The rectangular format of the open book with the photographic illustration of Marilyn is the focal point of this painting, an area of emphasis noticed first when viewing this larger-than-life work. The photo was taken by a professional photographer on a New Jersey beach and captures the 23-year-old as she consciously begins to make a physical transformation to the carefully designed facade of Marilyn Monroe. At 23, she will have only 13 more years to live. This Vanitas painting is a memento mori, a reminder that life is short, and captures the life choice to access professional power and self-determination in the recreation of physical image. The open book is one of the few objects in the painting that doesn't have intense color. However, the high contrast of black and white unifies it with the surrounding. The book is Norman Mailer's biography of Marilyn and has references to her gaining recognition in a male-dominated industry. It contains a statement by Marilyn: "Paint yourself into an instrument of your will," describing in almost biblical terms the moment Marilyn realized that makeup allowed her to alter her image. Both Marilyn and Flack forged artful careers, one with oil paints represented by the paintbrush and the other with makeup, symbolized by the nearby powder puff. Both used photography, Marilyn for publicity, and Flack projected the photograph as a drawing tool. Both received criticism for their professional choices, so perhaps Flack, the feminist and women's rights advocate, is guiding the viewer to restrain from being overly judgmental of Marilyn's sex object facade. Text from the open book tells a childhood episode when Marilyn's foster mother took a powder puff and powdered little Marilyn's nose and chin. Marilyn stated later, "It was the first time in my life I felt loved." Except for the open book and photographs, most shapes in the painting are curved and rounded. Following the path of circular objects, a curvilinear composition is created that encompasses the book, providing a protective wall or facade for the image of Marilyn. The circular objects include a pink rose, symbolic of femininity and vanity. Given as tokens of romantic love, roses are beautiful but possess thorns, indicating the pleasure and pain of intimacy. Fruit, both whole and cut, are symbols of fertility and wealth. Grapes were fed by hand to emperors and empresses and are associated with the Book of Revelations as symbolic of an unjust situation or the grapes of wrath. Peaches have erotic connotations, but also symbolize truth and salvation. The peach in this painting is cut open, revealing the rough pit, which slightly resembles the human brain. The peach is overly ripe, indicating the passage of time. At 23, Marilyn's life is more than half over, and the missing half of the peach may indicate that time is already past. The sand in the child's plastic hourglass has fallen to near half mark as well. If there's any concern over Marilyn's spiritual nature, she did struggle with her Christian upbringing. She associated Christianity with the cold insecurity of childhood. As an adult, she viewed psychoanalysis as her salvation. After she married playwright Arthur Miller, Marilyn converted to Judaism and remained faithful to death. Her annotated prayer book sold at auction in 2018 for $26,000. The orange fruit is shiny and bright and is associated with the beauty of the sun, the heavens, and the divine light of God. So if the peach pit represents Marilyn's mind, perhaps the orange is her soul. Two pears are depicted. Pears are often connected to the shape of a woman's body and may signify the bodies of Marilyn and Flack. Flack, aged 46 at the time of the painting's creation, was exactly twice the age of Marilyn at the time the photograph was shot. So there is a doubling of age and a doubling of the pears. The makeup pots hold red, presumably for lips. Green makeup is used to tone down overly red flesh. Red and green are complementary colors. Makeup indicates female conflicts about self-image, truth versus falsity, the constraints of time and aging. The red lipstick tube is a visual echo of the shape of the candlestick. The candlestick and the necklace are silver, which tarnishes quickly. The lyrics of Candle in the Wind may have been on Flack's mind as she painted this half-burned candle. Your candle burned out long before your legend ever did. Candles represent human life and are often said to be burnt at both ends by people who live fervently and quickly. The depiction of a candle may be in reference to the Protestant religious roots of the Dutch Baroque Vanitas still lifes, key concepts being the brevity of life on earth, the imminence of death, and the worthlessness of earthly riches. Jewelry symbolizes narcissism and love of earthly wealth. This necklace may at first appear silver, but it may be nothing more than a cheap plastic imitation, a parody of Marilyn's imitation blonde hair. The cosmetics and the Chanel No. 5 perfume are symbols of beauty and feminine enhancements, reflecting Marilyn's public persona. The blue glass is not a wine glass. It's a water glass and symbolizes life. In an overturned position, the glass indicates a life cut short. The blue color is associated with Mary and royalty and the purity of water. The calendar runs to the 28th day, and the paintbrush underscores the 4th of August, the date when Marilyn died, and conceals the 5th, a date that Marilyn would not live to witness. The pocket watch displays the time Marilyn's doctor may have broken into her bedroom to discover her body. He had been called by Marilyn's housekeeper at 3:25 a.m. and arrived a short time later. Silk symbolizes vanity and wealth, exclusive to the richest members of society. In the Baroque period, silks were protective covers for tables, and silks made using the glossy satin weave were flexible and highly suitable for expensive formal clothing. The purple cloth at the top left cascades back like a stage curtain, illustrating Marilyn's profession of acting. Purple is the color of fabric historically limited to use by royalty. Red is symbolic of erotic love, and the red cloth supports the Vanitas objects like satin bed sheets. The mirror is a symbol of vanity and self-reflection. Emphasizing this, 2 mirrors are shown in this artwork, one of which reflects Marilyn's face from the open book. Mirrors are intimately associated with self-identity. Putting on makeup using a mirror can promote a sense of well-being, an assurance that one's physical appearance is acceptable and pleasing. Mirrors reflect the reverse image of the self, opposite to the image others see. Narcissistic self-introspection of the false view of the mirror can lead to a negative self-image. Marilyn's photograph shows an imperfect human, as all humans are imperfect. One eye slightly smaller, a bump on the nose, imperfections that go unnoticed by others. But when the photograph is reflected in the mirror on the left, distortion and exaggeration alter the visage of the youthful and beautiful Marilyn. Flack may be asking us to make a philosophical judgment on the nature of truth and reality. What medium captures the real truth of Marilyn's psyche? The mirror may reflect the way Marilyn saw herself. The photograph depicts the way others saw her. The powder puff illustrates how Marilyn created her own image, and the paintbrush defines the way she will be remembered. The point of Vanitas, Flack explained, is to encourage the viewer to think about the meaning and purpose of life. From the lyrics of Candle in the Wind by Bernie Taupin, "They set you on a treadmill and they made you change your name, and it seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind, never knowing who to cling to when the rain set in. And I would have liked to have known you, but I was just a kid, and your candle burned out long before the legend ever did."